Hi there, my name is Sanjala Mansingh, and I am a life coach who helps people achieve their dreams, manifest their desires, and allow the things that they want in their life with ease and by the understanding of law of attraction and all the other wonderful spiritual laws. So that's an introduction in case you don't know who I am, and this is kind of like an attempt at a vlog, but instead of calling it a vlog, I would like to call it a conversation. I want to have a conversation with you. I want to share some of my experiences, some of my insights, some of my manifestations, and particularly today with this video, I want to talk about me traveling to Germany. So right now I'm in Germany. I traveled from India. I live in India. I am from India, and I just traveled on 20th November. So I just wanted to talk about how that manifestation came along. It was a desire that I had from the beginning of the year. It was kind of like a plan. It was not even a desire. Like it was more concrete and solid. It was a plan. And 2020 happened, of course, and it seemed like it might not be possible, but then a lot of things shifted and moved along, and I wanted to share that with you. So feel free to comment if you have like a trail of thought that comes about as I'm saying something. If you have your own insights or if you have your own questions, please feel free to comment, send me a message, because as I said, I just wanted to speak to you, share with you, have this space where I can just talk beyond. I have live sessions, I have one-on-one coaching sessions, I have programs, but I wanted to make this more personal and have like a conversation with you. So I would love to hear back from you. Okay, so here goes. So, the context of this whole thing that is required is that I have a boyfriend who is from Germany. He is German, and we've been seeing each other for 7 years, and we've visited each other back and forth. He's come to India a couple of times. I've been to Germany now 3 times before this. This is my fourth time, and every time that I flew to Germany, every time I had the desire of being in Germany, it had its own set of resistance around me for me, or beliefs that I needed to shift. And from the first time when I got here, first time when I was here, my dad didn't know about my boyfriend. This was back in 2016, so when we had been dating each other for 3 years or so. My mom knew, my brother knew, but it's a thing in India. If you're an Indian, you definitely would understand, but if you're not, then I would like to explain a little bit that it's not so common. I also again won't generalize it, but it's not typically common that a couple would introduce their boyfriend or their girlfriend to their parents early in the relationship. Once they're very sure and very certain and want to move things along, then they introduce their boyfriend or their girlfriend to their parents. And in general, I didn't have those conversations ever with my dad about who I like or something like that. So in 2016, it was like a big clandestine mission almost. So through an internship in Germany, I manifested an amazing opportunity to be in Germany, to visit him, to visit his family. I manifested an amazing internship way beyond what I had expected. Like, my desire was just to get to Germany, meet him, meet his family, but like the universe over delivered so beautifully. The internship that I had was under a world renowned professor in a field. The university where I was interning under, they had like 40 Nobel laureates come out of that place. Albert Einstein was a professor here at some point, like he was working here, like things like that. I received scholarship, I could travel, like the hours were flexible, so I could travel to Italy and places around and things like that. I had wonderful time here, like 4 months or so, and that was the first time. And then there was the second time, and then when I shifted from what I was studying, which was engineering and biotechnology. That's what my internship was about. And the first time, of course, it was the resistance was, okay, let me go see his culture and try to see if it's a good fit, and meet his family and all of that. And once that happened so beautifully, I introduced him to my parents, like my dad, and he came along. He came to India. Things moved along really beautifully. But I shifted from engineering to career coaching. Like, I wanted to be in this field where I can empower people. I can tell people that you can be, do, and have anything that you want. I didn't realize that I wanted to be a life coach in the essence of what I wanted to do, but that was like the first step away from engineering towards what I really wanted to do. So at that point, so the next trip that I had, my resistance, so to say, or the thing was to make this trip happen on my own. I wanted to pay for my own trip. I wanted to make this whole thing self-sustainable. I didn't want to like burden my dad and say that, even though I'm not continuing with engineering, please, sponsor this trip for me so that I can go. So I was like I was an entrepreneur, founded a company, and I wanted to do it on my own. And that was like that was the resistance behind that trip. Then in 2019, last year, I brought my family here to visit his family and meet his family. And that was a dream that I had, I think, maybe in the beginning of 2013, or even before I knew my boyfriend, that I wanted to take my parents out in Europe and I wanted to make them travel. I wanted to be able to be the person who, creates this travel situation for them so that they can travel, they can see beautiful sights in Europe and have a wonderful time. And that happened. So I had that kind of a resistance around it. And I think every time you have desire, you will have some beliefs that don't match the desire. Like the only reason why you don't currently own a Ferrari, so to say, if that's your desire, is because you don't believe it in some way that it's possible for you, that you probably don't believe that you deserve it, or it's difficult to come by, or it's too hard to have the money, or whatever. So at every level, in 2016, my first desire, there was some resistance around it. I had to shift the resistance and I had to start believing in it that it's possible. And I'll tell you how I do that now also, how I shift my beliefs. So that happened. So my desire was here, visit him, visit his country, and my beliefs were like, oh, that's not possible, how can I make it happen, it's so difficult, blah, blah, blah. Like the whole situation in 2016, how that internship happened, how beautiful and magical that was, is like a conversation for another time. But here was my desire, here were my beliefs, so I had to shift that along, and then when it's in the same place, it manifests. But the beauty of life is that you will always keep having more and more desires and greater desires and bigger desires. So now that once this happened, the other desire was to be able to go on my own, like, to fund my own trip. So that was here and my beliefs were here. Because last time I had a scholarship, I had to figure that out. And this time I didn't need an excuse to say, oh, I'm going to Germany for an internship. I just simply could say I'm going to meet my boyfriend and his family. So here was my desire, here were my beliefs, and I had to shift them and move them here. Then to take my family to Europe and Germany. So this thing keeps happening every time. But this time around, there were different resistances, right? Like Corona happening, pandemic, all the restrictions on travel and things like that. So I remember in August, somehow on Delhi, in Delhi there's the German embassy in India, and my boyfriend happened to see the website, and there they mentioned that there's a very special category of visa which is called the short-term visa for long distance relationship couples. Short-term visa for long distance relationship couples, which we are, of course. But that is something that I had never seen before. Anyone I tell about this particular category, they're like mind blown that what is this category? Didn't know that this existed, but it does somehow right now, and we found out about that in August. So once he happened to see that website, I realized that, okay, universe, you could call it God, all that is, whatever your understanding of that higher power is, right? So for me, I call it universe, God, my inner being, all of these different terms, right? But just seeing that made me acknowledge that, okay, things are working on my behalf. And as I said, that this was kind of a plan that I had earlier in the beginning of the year, that eventually I will go to Germany for Christmas and New Year's at the end of this year. But we had, of course, no way of knowing that there would be a global pandemic which would change things so dramatically. So in August, when I saw that, and mind you, at this point, like when the restrictions happen, they happen around at February or March or things like that. Of course, this was a moment of contrast. Of course, this was a moment of, oh no, like what about the rest of our plans and what about the rest of the year? So that shifting needed to happen, like this place of feeling like a victim, feeling like your freedom is taken away from you, feeling like the things that you had planned are not going, to happen, and that's just terrible and sad. So I had to, of course, shift that. I had to really, there was, of course, so much fear. So I had to go back within myself and, come to that inner knowing of how I am the creator of my own reality. By the understanding of law of attraction, you know that you are attracting every experience into your life. So even though the world is under, this is facing a global pandemic, you create your own bubble in this whole world where you can have everything that you want. And you may say, oh, I want to travel or something like that. Like, that is also possible. Like, in my case, my desire was to be here for Christmas, and back in March, of course, it felt impossible. We had no idea what is happening, so unprecedented. But eventually this desire came along. So to gain that energy back, gain that control back, and that power back, that okay, even though it seems like things aren't going in favor of anyone globally. So it's not just like, okay, there's one person, my boss is on my back and he's not allowing me to have what I want, or my boyfriend is not allowing me, or my parent is not allowing me. Like, it was like on a massive scale that no one in the world is getting to have what they desire. We could tune into that, and I know all of us did, of course. It was a sudden thing. Or we can decide to, after being there for a while, we can decide to come back into our own power and take control of how our life looks like. So once I had to settle the wobble back in March or so, then I made peace with where I was. It was like, okay, it's fine. If this is what happens, this is okay. I know things are always working out for me. Things are going to get better and better and better. And I could focus on my work. I could do a couple of programs that I wanted to do, which were amazing. They were so fun. And so many people also wanted, that kind of community, a space to be positive, a space to still dream. And the most beautiful thing about those programs, is the manifestation programs, is so many people got their dream jobs. In our group, got their dream jobs during a pandemic. So many people, like, they manifested cars, and they manifested so many things that they desired. So in our in our space, in that bubble, or you could say in my space, in my bubble, in your space, in your reality, you still get to create what you want. You still get to have your desires. So going back to August, so again, from March, with all the wobble, till August, of course, I had settled down. Everything was fine. I was comfortable in my life, not feeling like things are not working in my favor or something's wrong happening. So he found out that there's this specific category, and as I said, then I was like, okay, universe, I see you working on my behalf. I see you there are no what is it called, oh, you just found something by chance, or it's just like, oh, it's like that. There are no coincidences, there are no accidents, there are no like, oh, it's just synchronicity, you just saw it and it's okay. It was a clear sign. It was a clear, like, green light for me to start thinking in this direction. And I love that it happened in August, because I now travel in November, so I had enough time to desire, belief journey. I had enough time to bridge that gap. It wasn't like I instantly bridged that gap. It happened till the day of the flight, till the airport. I was still making my wobble more and more stable, making it more and more calm. So I had enough time to kind of come to terms with the fact that this can happen. I can start believing that this can happen. There's no chance that this is just a coincidence or just like something that I should ignore. This is a clear indicator. One of the things which was most beautiful about this category, first of all, is that whenever before this I applied for a visa to Germany, in general, Germany is said to have stricter, there are stricter rules for entry, or they scrutinize the applications really well to make sure that genuine people are entering the country, and they will go back and leave and come back to their own respective countries. So people told me, well-wishers and family members, that you should not say that you're going to meet your boyfriend, because they're not so certain of unmarried women going there, and I don't know, something like that. And I not knowing better, I was like, okay, I'm gonna say that I'm just gonna meet my friends and all of that. And every time I applied for the visa, it felt like I want to be true and honest about why am I going. I can say that I'm going as a tourist and I want to see those, but those are secondary reasons. I'm going to meet him and his family. So this time, this visa only focused on establishing my relationship with him. Like, this whole point of this visa wasn't to show that, oh, I have to come back, or wasn't to show that I'm a genuine and authentic person and to pretend that I'm a tourist. That is something that I definitely couldn't do this time, to pretend to be a tourist during Corona times. I had to talk about our relationship and how we knew each other and how long we have known each other and how much we visited and all of that. And I love to talk about that, of course, because I love to speak my truth. I didn't want to like hide anymore. So that's another desire that the universe kind of fulfilled, that no more hiding, you don't have to pretend. So that category in August, figuring that out, felt like, oh, that's good. So I started moving in this direction, started focusing on it a little bit more. Okay, this is what I want and this is how I'd like to go. I started speaking to my family. And of course, in general, there's just the fear of all these conversations around traveling and Corona and all of that. But I decided to tune into my own connection with my well-being, with my body, that like even before Corona, there are just so many things out there that can get you. There are so many ways in which someone can get hurt or get injured or whatever. But we don't, well, not everyone is always sick with something, right? It's because of what we pay attention to. If we believe that there's something out there and we're constantly thinking about it, that is there and it's out there to get us, and we're in danger and we're vulnerable, the thoughts make us vulnerable. Believing that our body can't deal with something, can influence our immune system. So, not to say that you have to be reckless and just go out there and don't wear a mask or something. Like, you still cooperate with the society, still cooperate with the system, but do all of the things that you want to do. Have your vitamin C. Like, we've been having vitamin C in my house and family. Like, in the beginning I was like, I don't want to have that, but then I was like, it's okay, it doesn't matter. Sanitize your hands, wash your hands, do all the things, but most important thing is within yourself. Know that firstly you're taken care of. Well-being abounds. Your inner being, God, your higher soul, higher power will not lead you to a place where you can be vulnerable in any aspect. It doesn't have to be just with illness, but in any manner of danger, your inner being will not guide you there. If you have that inner sense of well-being, knowing and trusting that my life is wonderful, this world is wonderful, I'm healthy, I'm happy, my inner being is taking care of me. So when you're sending out that signal from within you and you're believing that, you're beaming that out, you can only attract things which are a match to that. So you will never be a match to a place where there could be some danger. Secondly, also trusting your body, that if it's a cold, if it's like a cut on your finger, which I had, trusting that my body knows better than freaking out about it, that oh my god, what has happened to my hand, or what has happened, like all of that. Like, I need to, not that you shouldn't go to a doctor, but to not trust your body to do its thing. Like, there's so much our body does on a second to second basis. Like, right this minute while I'm talking to you, there are just so many functions happening within my body that I can't even keep a track of. So to think that my body doesn't know better and to not trust it basically is also adding a sense of vulnerability and uncertainty. So you don't want to have that, and I decided not to have that. I decided that I'm safe wherever I go. I will be a cooperative component to whatever everyone else also, whatever brings a sense of safety and well-being to everyone. I'm going to do those things, but most importantly, I'm going to believe that I'm safe. I'm going to trust my body, and I have a decent relationship with my body. Like, that's something that I've worked on consciously over the past couple of years, so it was easy for me. So I believed in that, and step by step, and also very, very strongly held on to this fact that if the universe showed me this thing, that this category exists, then everything else is also going to get worked out, right? Everything else is going to fall into place. So even if people showed like, oh, look at this news which is saying people can't fly, or this happening and that happening, I kept coming back to that knowing, if universe has shown me this, then this is going to happen. I'm not going to get influenced by other people's fear, and which is fine. They're well wishers and they are speaking from their current beliefs, but I'm choosing to raise my beliefs and holding on to what the universe is putting across my way. So the next step was to see how I can apply. So on the page on the embassy, they said that for you to even go even go to Germany with this thing, to apply for visa in itself, first you have to prove your eligibility to the embassy that you're eligible for this category. Then we'll give you an appointment. Then you will decide whether you get the visa or not. So I reached out to the embassy. I sent them a mail and I said, okay, what is the procedure for me to prove that I'm eligible to get an appointment, to get a visa? So their response to that mail was, oh, you don't have to prove your eligibility, just show up on 20th of October. Like, they gave me a date, they gave me a time. And at that point I was still like playing with this idea, like, okay, I get it that this category exists and I can have an appointment, that's fun. And the embassy came back with, oh, here's your appointment, this time, this date, be there. And suddenly it made everything so real, and also like a sense of urgency, because I have a date to make sure I have all my documents ready by then. So it was such an immediate, quick response. So again, I took that as another another sign, another anchor that this is going to happen. That what are the odds that the embassy is so eager to have an appointment with me? So that made it also, again, it made it certain. It, instead of like this wishy-washy idea on a dream, it became a plan. So I started with the documents, I got ready for it, and my parents also came along, helped me, supported me. And at the appointment day, we're standing outside the embassy. There are a couple of other applicants, 3 or 4, and there's a elder lady, and we're having like this small talk, this small conversation, and she says, it has been so difficult to get an appointment, right? And I could have just agreed just for the small talk, but then I was like, no, actually it was too easy. It was scary. It was a bit scary how easy it was, because it took me aback. And she was like, really? How come? It was so difficult for us to get an appointment. And I said, okay, what is your reason for going? She said, I have a medical emergency in my family. And she said, what is your reason for going? And I said, I have to meet my boyfriend. Like, for that I got an appointment so easily. So instead of focusing on all the reasons why it can't happen, and having like a chest full of all the reasons why it can't happen, or the other people are not traveling and people are getting sick and I kept like my other anchors. I kept my anchors for why it is going to happen, and what are these signs basically, or like my chest filled with, okay, this category exists, that in itself is a big sign. And then the appointment came so soon, that this lady confirming that also makes it even stronger that, okay, this is going to happen. So appointment happened and I was all ready. And also the fact that I have to speak only about our relationship, I had like series of photos that, okay, this was us in 2013 and 14 and 15 and 16, like I had a presentation like that. But it was fun, it was easy, it was a beautiful day that day. I got to that was like after months I was leaving my city, because the embassy was in a different city. So it was a good day, it was a great day. And from then till I would get the result or come back to get my passport with a visa or not, there were like about 9 days, which I was also comfortable with it. So I can still like tend to my wobble. At no point was it like done. At no point I was like, my beliefs are over my beyond my desire. I was like here and maintaining it slowly, like this kind of situation, and slowly coming close and close and close. So at any point in your when you have a desire and you don't believe that it can happen, and then and understand about manifestation and affirmations and things like that, don't be hard on yourself if you also have your moments of doubt. Like, you just need to tip the scales to like 1% more, like 51% more starts moving things in your direction, in your for your dream and your desire. So because I know that before this, the last visa where I had to take my family, I had such like a huge wobble right till the end, and it still worked out. Like, the universe is working so much in your favor, even when you're not like uh, completely believing in your own dream and desire and your self-worth and whatever else, right? The universe has got your back. So it's always good to feel good. It's always good to start believing about your dreams and start having those positive beliefs, but don't be harsh on yourself if you're not yet there. So as I said, 9 more days to feel better and better and better. In fact, on my appointment day, so they did check your temperature before you enter the embassy. I was so nervous. We reached at exactly the right time. I was so nervous that they checked my temperature and it was high. It was high, and the security guard, what are the odds? The security guard was so nice. He was so sweet, and there was no hurry, of course, because there were fewer applicants. He's like, "Ma'am, just relax. Why don't you go in the garden? There was a garden right in front, and there was a tree. Like, just sit under the shade for a while. Just relax for a while." So I was like, okay, this is my resistance. I'm gonna go and sit under the tree for a while, and I did. And then I was like, kind of affirmed, and I felt I was not super grounded. I knew I was like feeling anxious. I went back again after 15 minutes, and then he checked my temperature again, and it was again high. Oh god, so funny. Then I went inside the cab where my dad was also there with me. He was waiting. He's like, "What happened?" I said, "Yeah, I'm feeling a bit." He said, "My temperature is a bit high, and it's common. You just need to cool down." So they cranked up the AC in the cab. I had like water, a lot of water. I took like I took my handkerchief and wet it a little bit and try to calm myself down. And then when I was like, I felt like I was absolutely as cool as I can, I quickly went and got my temperature checked. So anyway, then I entered, and he was just like so nice and kind, and he's like, "It's okay, it always happens, just relax, it's calm, it's all good." So on the day to pick up the passport, even before that, okay, in those 9 days, I manifested 1 lakh rupees to just towards this travel, just like, and I didn't require money. I already had budgeted for it. The flights were paid for. I had enough money for the duration that I'm here. But I got that, and that was so amazing that I received that so unexpectedly. So 1 lakh rupees, I don't know, is about I'll convert it in the US dollars and I'll write it somewhere. So I got that money. So that was another, again, anchoring thing. The security guard was an anchoring thing, that he was so nice and kind and wanted me to be there. I manifested this money towards this trip, so that is another anchor. So I was holding on to these positive anchors to build my belief towards my desire. And on the day of the appointment, um, I went straight to the embassy first, even though my appointment was later, just to see what if they give it already. But they said no, you come around later, and that is good, because in the beginning of the day I was still nervous. Then we went to a bank to get some other work done. We went to another place, and step by step the day started becoming better and better and better. And just one day before that, like one day before the appointment, when I was going to sleep, I saw a meme which says, "What if tomorrow is the best day ever?" And again, that was another sign that I held on to, and I was like, what if tomorrow, like the day of the appointment, is the best day ever? And as the day got progressively better and productive and constructive with all the things that my dad and I had to do in that city, the final thing was to pick up the passport, and I went in the embassy, no temperature problem. And as I was the last person to go inside the office to pick up my passport, I started speaking. And the beauty of having a mask is that you can talk to yourself and no one will get to know unless you're like talking too loudly. So there are 3 applicants inside in the office, and I'm the 4th one, and I'm staying out because of social distancing. And I start speaking to myself that I deserve to go there. I deserve to be there. This is not a big deal. It's not something I deserve to be there. And that's something that I kept repeating to myself. I'm worthy of being there. I deserve to be there. And just to calm myself down. Again, like this wobble, right? So I get there when my turn comes around, and they have like a receipt. I have a lot of information on it, and I had to sign it. And I didn't get a pen. The lady behind the counter also didn't have a pen. So she's like, okay, you can ask the security guard if he has a pen. So I take the receipt. She still hasn't given me the passport, so I don't know if I have the visa or not. She gave me the receipt, and I took the receipt and I went to the security guard, and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. Oh, I hope I get it and all of that. And I went to the security guard and said, do I have a pen? And he gave me the pen. And the beautiful thing about the receipt was that it was in German, and I know how to read German. And it said that visa granted to visit boyfriend. Literally, that was the category, for 52 days. And so even before I had my passport or saw the sticker of visa, I knew I got it. And I was so happy, I was so grateful. Like, there was a tree out there between the office and the security place. I was just like so happy and so grateful. I went into the office to pick up my passport, and I got my visa, and that was awesome. I was really, really grateful, and I decided that no more of doubting this specific desire. So even before, like in those 9 days of applying and then receiving the visa, I realized that I had a lot of residual resistance from the earlier times I applied for the visa. And before this, as I was slowly, over these years, I was slowly learning more and more about law of attraction. The first time I did all the processes, I wrote a list of gratitude. I used to sit down with an affirmation, try to visualize it, try to feel it. Oh, I'm in Germany and I'm this and that. The next time around, I made like a vision board, as if like it was some task, it was some work, and as if I need to do these things to explain to the universe or to explain to someone that I deserve this desire. And this time around, I was like, why do I really want to go? Just because I want to go, just because it's fun for me to go, just because it's like a second house for me, and just because it's like a country which I love. It's so nice to be here, and that's it. I don't need to give explanations that because of this person or this experience and things like that. Like, you do all of those processes when they make you feel good, and they just bring you so much joy if you're creating a vision board for your joy. But no one requires any justification. The universe doesn't require any justification. No one else is assessing whether you're worthy of it or not. Even the visa people, like, I had so many beliefs around what the embassy does. Like, my beliefs were biased in this way that the embassy is there to try to not give you the visa. And I was like, what is this belief? Where did I pick it up from the other people who've had difficult experiences in the embassy and things like that. And so I had to like shed away those beliefs that didn't serve me, and like step by step get here. So the experience beyond that, of course, had been even more juicy. Now it's almost 30 minutes. I'll try to wrap it up in like 10 minutes. So got my visa. I have everything that I require now, and so I have now like some cash from before, like euros from the last time my family went. And I was wondering if I should get more cash in hand. Like, I have enough money, but to get some cash in hand. And on one of those days when I decided to start packing, of all the suitcases that were there in the house, I picked up this one and I opened it, and there were like I don't know, 600 euros, 700 euros kept inside that, and not even like hidden somewhere. Like, it was the first thing you notice when you open the suitcase, and it belonged to my dad. And I opened it in front of him, and all of us were surprised, like, where did this money come from? And I asked him, did you know that there's this cash in this? And he's like, I don't. And I love that he's so self-aware. He's like, if I knew that I had this money, I would have spent it last year. So I have now extra cash with me, like another sign that things are always working out for me. And the fun thing about that was that once we got to Delhi, my dad still was like, maybe we can, now that we have some free time, we had some time between when we reached Delhi and when my flight was, when I was flying. He's like, yeah, let's see if we can get some more euros for you. And we went around to different shops and we asked them what's the current exchange rate. And it turns out, since last year, it has become higher. Last year, 1 euro was about 80 rupees, and this year 1 euro is about 90 rupees. So it's so great that we purchased the euros last year. And none of these people actually had any euros anymore. Like, people aren't traveling so much, so we don't really have euros. So that was another like sign that it was so great that the universe helped me pick that suitcase which had so much cash from the last year, so we didn't have to purchase more this year. Also, like, we purchased it at the right cost. So just like all these fun, juicy manifestations along the way. Again, I was still nervous because even with the visa, like, we were all given this discretion kind of a thing, that you should know that even though you have the visa, if the laws change at the last moment, then it might happen that that you may not be allowed to travel. So there was that thing a little bit. So now at this point, this thing is like 0.001, like this wobble, if there was any unit of measurement. But everywhere along the way, from getting to the flight, getting to the airport, the people that I met there at the Lufthansa counter, the guy was really funny, he's really nice, and he's really kind and patient, and I asked him to give me a good seat, and he did. The seat that I had in the flight, the next two seats were completely free. So, and I'm not that tall. I could easily fit in those three seats and like lie down and relax and rest. Like, I had such a comfortable sleep. Like, I hadn't been sleeping so well for the last 2 days or so. But when I slept on the plane, I forgot, in fact, that I was flying. Like, I woke up once because like someone passed, like a flight attendant passed, but when I woke up, I was like, oh, I'm flying. I didn't realize because it was so comfortable, so cozy. I had like 3 blankets for all the 3 seats and the 3 pillows. Oh my god, it was so cozy. So every step along the way, no one asked me. There was like no objection ever. The only objections are usually in our mind. So when I got here, when I landed in Munich, we decided to do a corona test, just for our own peace of mind. It was not compulsory or anything like that. In fact, like, nowhere along it was anything. There were no compulsions except you need to have a mask on your face as you're flying. The flight was half empty, literally. They still had business class seats and first class and all of that available. But just within the economy class, it was also half empty, so people could just later redistribute and be comfortable. So when I got to Munich, I got the test. It was so quick, it was so easy. I had the throat test, like they put a swab in your throat, and the medical person was also like fun, nice people, and landed like at 6 a.m. in the morning. So one could be grumpy, but that guy was like so patient, so kind, made me feel comfortable. It took me 2 attempts to get it right so that I could allow him to take that sample, but he was so fun. I'm like, I'm sorry, does everyone do that? He's like, yeah, everyone does it, don't worry. So it took like 5 minutes to get the test. And the fun thing about the test is that usually the results come within a day or 2, and I had my results come in a few hours. So like, we didn't expect to have results in till 2 days at least, but I had it the same evening. Like, that's the kind of stuff that keeps happening, the support that comes along when you start allowing yourself to believe that things are working out for you. The universe has your back, and things just like are supposed to make you happy. So this journey of like bridging that belief, it's always going to be there, but it's a fun thing. It's like such a fun thing to shift your beliefs, to start believing in things working out for you. Like, it's not a task, it's not something that you have to try to sit and write down and make it a big difficult thing, and also believe that, oh shit, since I have limiting beliefs, I can't have the desire that I want. How I typically do that is, how I typically start believing in my dream, is to first identify, like, once something feels off. Your emotions are such a great indicator, right? So as soon as something feels off, it could be a big thing, like someone sending you a message, oh, you can't fly because whatever, or it could be something really small, like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to carry a heavy piece of luggage or something like that. So you acknowledge something within yourself that feels a bit annoying or just bad, or it feels like whatever, lower down the emotional scale, and try to then assess what is the core belief around it. Why do I feel like this? What is the thought behind this feeling? What thought is making me feel like this? So if someone sends you a message and says that these are the current restrictions, it makes you feel uncomfortable, what is the thought behind it? Thought can be that this person doesn't support me to fly, or the thought could be that, oh, the world is in a difficult place, like traveling is difficult. Like, you have to identify what is that thought right? And I try to do that quite often. And then to shift that around, that okay, somewhere this is the belief that I have, that's why it is hurting me. If I didn't believe this, I won't feel any emotion, I won't feel any hurt, it would not hurt me. If I didn't believe this at some point, if I didn't have a strong sense of surety and security in my desire, then it won't hurt me. But it did hurt me, it did feel a bit off. And this is the core thought behind it. What is the opposite? What is the different thought that I want to have? So I want to have a thought that, just this example, if it is that you believe, if the thought is that this person is not supporting me, then the thought is that I want to feel supported by this person. I want to believe that this person supports me and my dreams. Or if the other thought that could be that it's difficult to fly, or if I'm not allowed to fly, you want to come to a general, more broader belief that I'm supposed to have the desires that I have. I am the creator of my own reality. You can start as general and broad as it feels comfortable, and then slowly you make it more specific. But that is the job. Something happens, it makes you feel off, try to identify, be objective about it. As soon as you can step out of it, the better. Sometimes it takes like a few minutes, sometimes it takes 2 days or a week to get out of that feeling of hurt or whatever it feels like. But what is helpful and what is important is to identify what the thought was and move towards what is it that you want. Of course, you want the opposite of this thought. You want to believe in your own power, you want to believe that things are working out for you, you want to believe that people love you and support you, and then try to build this belief by having supporting arguments, by, as I said, step by step, I held on to these anchors that my desire is supposed to happen. In the same way, you can bring back experiences from before, manifestations from before. You can put up these signs that you saw somewhere, synchronicities that you saw, that oh, this is a sign, it's an indicator that my desire is meant to happen. And you want to support this belief, this positive belief, and you want to discard the old negative belief. And that happens automatically. You don't have to try to change your negative belief. You don't have to try to go and process your past and identify who's at fault or what happened. You want to support this belief, and that does all the work. So try to build this belief up, and then step by step this keeps happening, and then your desire manifests. And voila, just like that, you get to be in Germany if that's what you desire.
I will run, I will climb, I will soar. I'm undefeated, oh. Jumping out of my skin, pull the cord. Yeah, I believe it. Oh, the past is everything we were. Don't make us who we are. So I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is stars. It's not until you fall that you fly. When your dreams come alive, you're unstoppable. Take a shot, chase the sun, find the beautiful. We will go in the dark, turning dust to gold, and we'll dream impossible. It's not until you fall that you